Imagine this. You've been gone for just 2 weeks, not months, not years, 2 weeks. You unlock your front door after a long flight, dragging your suitcase inside, ready to relax in the home you've worked your entire life to earn, only to find a total stranger sitting on your couch, eating your food and acting like they've lived there forever. And when you tell them to get out, they call the cops on you. That's not a made-up story. That's what really happened. And the wildest part, the police actually believed them at first. This is the story of Marcus, a man who fought tooth and nail for everything he had. A man who, like so many of us, dreamed of one day owning a home where he and his family could finally feel safe. But instead of safety, he found betrayal. Instead of peace, he found conflict. And instead of respect, he was treated like a criminal inside his own house. Today, we're going deep into what happened when Marcus returned from a charity trip to discover that not only had someone broken into his mansion, they'd been living there for 2 weeks. And when the truth came out, it exposed just how dangerous entitlement, racism, and the misuse of power can really be. Before we jump into the chaos, let's back up and talk about who Marcus is. Because this isn't just about one moment, it's about the journey that got him here. Marcus grew up in a world where people told him he wouldn't make it. His family didn't come from money. His neighborhood didn't have the resources. Teachers told him to set realistic goals. Friends doubted him. And every step of the way, he was reminded that society didn't expect someone who looked like him to end up living in a gated mansion. But Marcus wasn't about to let other people write his story. He put his head down and worked harder than anyone around him. Long nights, early mornings, jobs that barely paid but taught him discipline, hustles that barely made ends meet but sharpened his skills. Fast forward years later, Marcus made it. He broke into an industry most people only dream of touching. He invested smart, he saved, and when the time came, he bought a house. Not just any house, a mansion. The kind of house people drive past slowly, pointing, saying, "Who lives there?" And for Marcus, that house wasn't just about luxury. It was proof. Proof that no matter what people thought of him, he could rise above it. Proof that he belonged. Proof that the grind was worth it. At least that's what he thought. A few weeks after moving in, Marcus had a chance to take a 2-week trip overseas. But this wasn't some luxury vacation in the Caribbean or a Vegas getaway. No. Marcus went on a charity trip to help raise money for schools in a poor village. That's the kind of man he is, always giving back, always trying to lift others as he climbs. Before leaving, he told his property manager, "Check on the house. Make sure the mail doesn't pile up. Keep the lights on." He thought everything was under control. But while Marcus was out building hope in another part of the world, back home, someone else was planning something very different. 2 weeks later, Marcus pulls into his driveway, jet-lagged but happy to be home. Except something feels wrong. The garage door is slightly open. Not wide open, just cracked. Enough to make him think, did I leave it like that? Then he sees it, a strange car in his driveway, not his manager, not his friends. Some random vehicle that doesn't belong. Now maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the property manager needed help. Maybe it's nothing. Marcus walks up to the front door, suitcase rolling behind him. He pulls out his key, slides it into the lock, and it doesn't turn. The locks have been changed. At this point, his stomach drops. Every muscle in his body tenses. This is his house. His name is on the deed. He hasn't even owned it that long, and somehow he's locked out. He pounds on the door, silence. He pounds again, and that's when it happens. The door swings open, and standing there is a woman he's never seen before. Blonde hair pulled back, wine glass in hand, looking at him like he's the intruder. Marcus says, "Excuse me, what are you doing in my house?" The woman doesn't even flinch. She tilts her head, smirks, and says 4 words that will haunt him. "You don't belong here." Imagine hearing that. Not at a mall, not at a park, in your own living room, in the home you worked your life for. Marcus, stunned, tries to explain. "This is my house. I own this place. I just got back from my trip." But before he can even finish, the woman pulls out her phone, dials 911 and says, "There's a black man trying to break into my house." That's when Marcus realizes what's really happening. This isn't some random squatter. This is a Karen, an entitled woman who thinks she can claim his house as hers, and worse, she knows exactly how to play the system. Because let's be honest, when a white woman calls the police and says a black man is breaking in, history shows us what usually happens next. Marcus stands there, heart pounding, knowing that one wrong move could cost him everything. And if you think that was bad, wait until you hear what happened when the cops pulled up. Minutes later, flashing red and blue lights fill the driveway, multiple squad cars, officers jumping out, hands hovering over their weapons. Before Marcus can say a word, the woman runs out, tears streaming, screaming, "He broke in. He tried to steal everything. I've been living here for weeks and I'm scared for my life." The cops turn to Marcus. "Sir, put your hands where we can see them." Hands, always the hands. The universal rule of survival for a black man confronted by police. Marcus tries to stay calm. "This is my house. My name is on the deed. I have ID. I have proof." But the cops don't care. They surround him, question him, treat him like the suspect. Marcus shows them his ID. He shows them mail with his name and address. He calls his property manager on speakerphone. But instead of ending it there, one officer says, "Sir, we just need to sort this out. Stay calm." Stay calm. He's standing outside his own mansion, accused of breaking in, while the real intruder sits inside sipping wine. By now, neighbors are gathering, phones out, recording, whispering. Some look concerned, others look curious. A few even look entertained, like this is free reality TV. And for Marcus, the humiliation stings, because this isn't just about his house. It's about dignity. It's about being treated like he doesn't belong in the very neighborhood he worked his whole life to get into. And just when Marcus thought the truth would set him free, the situation took an even darker turn. The property manager finally arrives, waving paperwork, contracts, official records proving Marcus owns the house. He hands them to the officers. They look it over. Finally, the tension starts to ease. That's when the truth comes out. The woman isn't part of the HOA. She isn't a neighbor. She isn't even supposed to be there. She's been squatting. For 2 weeks, she's lived in Marcus's house, changed the locks, and pretended like it was hers. Yep. But instead of leaving quietly, she doubles down. "He forged those papers. There's no way he owns this house. Look at him. People like him don't live here." Those words cut deeper than any knife. Eventually, the cops realize she's lying. They escort her out. Marcus finally steps back inside his home, but it doesn't feel the same. The sense of safety, the pride, the peace, it's gone. Because this wasn't just about a house. This was about what it means to be black in America, even when you've done everything right, even when you've made it, even when you've proved yourself 100 times over. For Marcus, the nightmare ended that day, but the scar, that stays. This isn't just Marcus's story. This is the story of countless black homeowners who are questioned, doubted, and criminalized in their own spaces. It's about barbecue Becky calling cops on families at a park. It's about neighbors asking, "Do you really live here?" when they see you unlocking your own door. It's about a system that still sees black wealth as suspicious instead of normal. And it's about how quickly entitlement can turn dangerous when someone decides to weaponize the police. Marcus thought buying a mansion meant he had finally escaped the struggle. But what he learned is that the struggle doesn't care how rich you are. The struggle follows you. The question of belonging follows you. And the burden of proof, it's always on you. If this story shook you, hit subscribe, because the next one will leave you speechless. But here's the thing, Marcus's story. As wild as it sounds, it's not unique. That's the part that hurts the most. This isn't just one man's nightmare. It's part of a pattern. A pattern that stretches across cities, states, and decades. A pattern where black people simply existing in certain spaces is treated as suspicious, threatening, or criminal. And the truth is, Marcus's mansion might look different from a college dorm, a neighborhood park, or even a front yard, but the struggle, it's the same. There's even a name for it: living while black. It's when the simple act of doing everyday things, barbecuing, napping, jogging, cutting the grass, suddenly turns into a potential crime in someone else's eyes. Marcus's fight to prove his ownership wasn't just about real estate paperwork. It was about existence. And sadly, that same fight has played out again and again for others who never asked to be put in that position. Let's look at a few stories that prove Marcus isn't alone. Oakland, California. A family sets up a barbecue grill in a public park. Music playing, kids laughing, just a normal day. But across the grass, a white woman pulls out her phone and dials 911. Her complaint: that the family was using a charcoal grill in an area not designated for it. Not that they were being violent, not that they were destroying property, just grilling. And yet she stood there for hours, insisting the police come deal with it. The image of her with that phone pressed to her face, angry, entitled, convinced she was in the right, went viral. People started calling her Barbecue Becky. But here's the part people don't always talk about. For that family, it wasn't funny. It was humiliating. It was dangerous. Because when the police get called on black folks, the outcome is never guaranteed to be safe. Marcus's Karen told police he was breaking into his own mansion. Barbecue Becky told police a family was breaking the rules in a park. Different setting, same tactic. Use authority to remove black people from a space they have every right to be in. New Haven, Connecticut. Lalaide Bola, a black graduate student at Yale, is studying late. She's exhausted, so she dozes off on a couch in the common room of her dorm. Another student sees her sleeping and decides she doesn't belong there, calls the police. Now picture that. You've been accepted into one of the most prestigious schools in the world. You've put in the work, earned your spot, paid your tuition, and yet you're treated like an intruder in your own dorm. When police showed up, Lalaide had to unlock her room, show her ID, and prove again and again that she belonged. Just like Marcus standing outside his mansion, paperwork in hand, still doubted. It's the same message. No matter how much you achieve, you'll still be questioned. Now let's talk about a case that ended in tragedy. Brunswick, Georgia. A 25-year-old black man named Ahmaud Arbery goes out for a jog. Just a run, something millions of people do every day. But to three white men in trucks, his presence looked suspicious. They chased him, confronted him, and ultimately killed him. Ahmaud never got to explain himself. He never got to prove he belonged. His run ended with his life stolen. And here's the link. Karen didn't kill Marcus, but she set in motion a chain of events that could have ended the same way. Because when you call the police on a black man and label him a criminal, you are rolling the dice with his life. Not even kids are safe from this mindset. In Ohio, a 12-year-old boy started mowing lawns in the summer to make money. He had clients, he had equipment, he was doing something positive. But while he was mowing one customer's yard, a neighbor called the police. The reason: he was cutting the wrong grass. Think about that. A child working hard, trying to build responsibility, and someone still saw him as a threat, still felt the need to call authorities to put him back in his place. The lawn mower, the jog, the barbecue, the nap, and Marcus's mansion. Different details, same pattern. So when Karen stood in Marcus's living room and said, "You don't belong here," she wasn't just speaking for herself. She was echoing a much bigger voice, a voice that has followed black people in America for generations. And the scariest part, that voice doesn't care about your age, your education, or your bank account. You can be a 12-year-old mowing lawns or a millionaire coming back from a charity trip, and still, someone will decide you don't belong. Marcus thought his fight was over when the police finally escorted Corinne out. But the real fight, it never ended. Because how do you reclaim peace of mind after that? How do you enjoy your home knowing that at any moment someone can question your right to be there? And that's what makes this so dangerous. It's not just about the inconvenience of calling the police. It's about the trauma it leaves behind. It's about the fear that the next encounter might not end with paperwork. It might end with handcuffs or worse. And here's what most people don't realize. Marcus never saw the struggle end with Corinne being removed. Because what she really stole wasn't just his house for 2 weeks. It was his sense of belonging forever. This story isn't just about Marcus, or Barbecue Becky, or Yale, or Ahmad, or that boy mowing lawns. It's about a system where entitlement plus bias creates danger. Marcus got his mansion back, but he also got a reminder that no matter how far you climb, the struggle doesn't vanish. It waits, it follows, and it forces you to keep proving what you've already earned. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, because the next story will make you question everything.